I want you to explain your role as a MASSA, particularly in the COVID time. What we have seen, like you guys were in forefront with the ship owners, having chartered flights. Like we only dreamed a chartered flight, but
Yeah.
you provided seafarers with a chartered flight. Can you explain, that period, like how you guys managed with that crisis?
See, when the COVID hit, none of us knew what to do. Okay. And we were all clutching at straws, groping in the dark. And that includes even the government, because nobody had ever faced anything like this. I mean, we come from India, so having a Bombay Band or something like that was not unheard of. But it was once in a while, it happened morning 6 to evening 6 affair. But here it was something real which hit hard. And before I start, I must compliment the extreme proactive approach, not just by the Directorate General of Shipping, but by the ministry, but by the Home Ministry, because the Home Ministry were the big boys in the shutdown that we had. Our consulates, overseas consulates, our missions abroad, I never ever thought that I will be on a one-to-one email with India's ambassador to Qatar, which we never think that that anybody does that, but they did, and it was, you see this saying, together we can achieve more. That was a classic example of together we can achieve. See, the government of India, when the first circular came out about the lockdown, there was a line at the end of the circular which said that transit accommodation and charter flights for seafarers. It said that line. But it's one thing to write a line, and the second thing is to convert that line into action. How does it work now? So we were groping around quite a bit. We were working very closely with the Director General's office and the Ministry of Shipping. We would have a number of Zoom meetings, etc. with them. Initially, we started with the first problem was that the certificates which were expiring on board, or seafarer certificates were expiring. How do we renew them now? So the DG came out with the open circular. Okay, extend it, which was very essential. At the same time, the IMO also realizing this problem, they also came out with a circular urging the countries to take a very pragmatic approach to seafarer and ship certification, because you couldn't do surveys. How are you going to extend the life of ship certificates? So they urged, which mostly people did. Once that was sorted out, then the DG Shipping came out. We said, okay, we need to relieve people also, because that was permitted. So the DG came out with a protocol of how to do reliefs in Indian ports. Now, third, then we came out, we said, look, these 2 months, okay, because March 24th, I remember, was the lockdown. So April, May was okay. But by May, people were getting very upset on board that they needed to come home. We cannot live like that endlessly. So by that time, the government of India had opened up those Vande Bharat flights. They were called Vande Bharat, isn't it? I think so. They were called Vande Bharat flights.
Correct. Vande Bharat.
In which to bring back our stranded Indian citizens outside. So we took a cue from that, and we approached the DG Shipping and the ministry and said, can we have charter flights only for seafarers? Okay, because there was one country in the world which was still operating its airline, and that was Qatar. So from Doha, they were having certain flights going all over the world, which included Europe, which included America, Australia, etc., Hong Kong. So Qatar played a big role in that, Qatar Airways, and they came on board with our proposal that we will fly our people to Qatar, and they will then board the, onward international designated flights. So for this, a lot of countries had to come together, which they did. And again, our role, we thought, was not just to send people out, because that was only 50% of the problem. We needed to protect jobs. So we needed to set up a rota. That means somebody will go and somebody will come back also on the same flight. And Qatar, they changed their immigration rules and said that we will allow a layover of up to 24 hours for Indian citizens, seafarers, which was a big relief because the flights come at different times and we had to all gather the people at Doha airport to make our flight worthwhile, because the rules were such that we could not station the air crew. See, they are also bound by the rest of our regulations, and it's tricky to breach those. So we had to have a turnaround flight which will come back in 8 hours. So if the flying time from Bombay to Doha was 3 hours, they could be on ground for 1 hour and 3 hours fly back. Because the 1 hour, just for your information, apparently the air crew count the time from the time they leave their home to board the aircraft, and not like us when we sign on, not the flying time. So that was a lot. But when he's going home, that is not counted because he's going home. So we had to cater to that, and there were a lot of other partners who played a big role, supporting role. One is our partner association FOSMA. Another one is the airline ATPI Griffin. They played a huge role because commercially they chartered the aircraft. We only filled it up. Okay, it was difficult. We even had to go out to the immigration department and say they wanted a crew list. We said, look, we can't just give you one crew list. You see, they are used to receiving a manifest. If the aircraft capacity has 120 seats, they can receive a manifest of only 120. We said our seafarers are not like that. Just because today I think he will go, but the ship may get delayed and he may not go today. So allow us to give you a higher number in the manifest. You approve it, but no more than 120 will board the aircraft. So little did I know that I will know an Airbus 119, difference between Airbus 119 and Airbus 121, how many seats they will have. I didn't know, but I came to know that the hard way. It was fun. It was fun when it happened. And the crowning part of it, crowning glory, I must say, was that on the day of the Seafarer, which is 26 June, we actually operated 3 flights in one day to Doha and back, and I think we moved more than 1,000 seafarers in one day on 3 flights or something close to that. And all in all, during that phase, we moved about 20,000 seafarers, which was, I think, a sizable number. And this is something I like to boast about, that as MASSA and FOSMA, we never charged 1 naya paisa more than what was the cost of the fare. This was a service provided to all. It was not limited to our members. To some extent it had to be, because they were committing financially, they were financial partners, because at the end of the day, when Griffin chartered the flight, somebody has to pay Griffin now, which our members did. But we had a number of occasions when there were certain people who were in distress, somebody's family was in turmoil, and we accepted that yes, you can fly. And the role of DG shipping, the role of ministry, the role of our embassies outside Singapore and Qatar, typically Hong Kong, when we had an issue in moving people from Hong Kong, they actually opened our Hong Kong embassy on a Saturday and cleared, because you had to have embassy clearance for people to fly out. They had to be Indian, that's all they could come. Which Doha said, only Indian citizens I will allow. So they did that. So it was all-round cooperation. And that is when Doha actually set up a seafarer lounge at Qatar airport, at Doha airport. Do you know that? That's the only airport in the world which has a seafarer lounge.
Really.
Only seafarers access that love, which I think is a wonderful thing.